So funny story, on the last video, my mic was turned around the whole time. So that's why it sounds like I'm in the background. So this video probably sounds a lot better. So my apologies. I didn't want to remake the last video because I thought it was a good take. And you could still hear it, so you can just turn it up a little bit more. But anyway, we're going to jump right in to show Cockpit again and Grand MA. So we have everything synced up, enabled. The Mini and the Grand MA2. And now we want to talk about mapping and everything. So what we'll do, let's do this first. Let's set up a couple of executors and buttons and everything, all right? So we have our lights that we did, and I'm going to open up screen 2 for a second, and we'll just make one screen view right here. We'll go to pools and we'll go to groups, and I'm going to take this and make it smaller. Let's go ahead and type in, let's go back to our first page right here. I'm going to be jumping through quickly, so hopefully you can follow along. So let's do fixture 101 through 104, please. And I'll hit store, and we'll hit this empty block right here. That's where our Sharpies are going to be. All right. And so now if I do @ we can go to MA3D and we see that we have our Sharpies right here. Let me minimize that so you'll see that we can do our tilts and everything. I'll go ahead and do a couple of positions real quick just so we can play with them in our executors. Let me do a line. Oop, that was too much. Let me go center again. Let me do fine so it won't move as quickly. There we go. Let's go right there. And let's go to screen 2 again. And let's do positions now. I'm clicking on this empty block right here, or empty grid. Go to presets, hit position, and let's store. Even though dimmer is highlighted right here or in red, it's only going to store position values. Now we can tell it to store dimmer and position values if we hold down store and go into the options or store options, but since I just hit store and do position, it's going to only do positions. So I'll label this, I'll just label it flat, and then let's do one more. I'm just going to simply do this. Let's make the lights just kind of go up, just like that. And we'll name this one flat up. How about that? So bring back screen 2, hit store, label it to flat, or let's do up flat. How about that? Up flat. So now we have our 2 positions. And again, there's no dimmer information stored in these positions. And then let's do colors. We'll do like 3 colors. Well, first of all, let me store this view before we lose it. Store view right here. Let's put main. Let's go to color. Let's do a red. Where did screen 2 go? I can also do it in this box too. Let's do green. And you see that it already brings in the names for you. You can, go in and edit these names if you want. And we'll do cyan. And then open. Cool. So we have our colors, and again, you can rename these. I'll just put open right here. Cyan, green, and red. Even though it's dark red, but who cares? I guess the Sharpies don't have like a normal red, but oh well. So we have cyan, red, green, open, everything. I did spell open wrong. That's going to annoy me. There we go. Alright, so now we have some presets for position and color and everything. let's go ahead and store this into an executor. All right, so when you're looking at the console, or let's just say the MIDI for right now. So on this APC Mini, we have 9. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 faders on them. So you can act like, or know that the faders are going to correspond with 1 through 9 on this list right here, because you're going to start on fader 1, and I open up executor 1 through 15 on purpose because those are the executors that are going to correspond with your MIDI device. And you can set it up differently. I mean, you can start on page 2, page 3, whatever. You can start on executor 16, but for just the ease of this video, we'll start on executor 1. So in my programmer right now, I do have a position and dimmer value, and I'm going to store this into executor 1. So I just hit store, and then I tapped on executor 1, and we'll name this to Sharpies. Alright. And now if I clear it out, let me do my command overlay and just hold down clear. And now if we pull this up, so I'm doing this with a mouse right now, but I want to store this, or do some mapping on this fader to where I can control it with the MIDI. And I wish you can see the MIDI, but I'm not sure how to do that right now. That's for later on. I'm still teaching myself how to make these videos in the best way that I can. Alright, so let's go over to Roadshow Cockpit, and we have mapping right here, okay? And we have all these different options like executor fader fixed. The ones that we want to focus on the most for what we do is executor fader, executor button, and then some command executors as well, so you can throw in some macros and everything. So I haven't worked with change page yet or anything, but I'm sure we will here soon. But yeah, again, the fader, the button, and then the command execute. So let's start on fader. All right. So it's automatically going to throw in executor number 1, which is the one that we just mess with on GrandMA 3. So if I tap on fader 1, it's gonna go ahead and map that right now. So we're good to go. We have control now on our MIDI, or at least we should, on fader 1. So let's go over to, let me just hit refresh, and then let me go to project or elements. Just go back to the main screen and everything. Now you'll see I'm actually, you can't see this, but you can probably hear it a little bit, but I'm on my MIDI right now, turning up fader 1 and turning down fader 1. And you see that there are indications right here under controls and functions, meaning that you do have a signal going from GrandMA to the MIDI. And then I'll show you as well in the fader. So I'm going to put my mouse right here. Magic. Isn't that fun? So I now have fader 1. So now let's go ahead and put these buttons in right here. So I believe button 1 let me just go through it real quick. I don't want to explain it and get it wrong. But let me change these functions of these buttons. So let's click on this green part right here, and let's go ahead and change this to select. Let's do this one as go, and let's do this one as go back. I'm sorry, let's do the, yeah, hold on. Let's do the opposite. No, that's right. That's right. Alright. So you're probably used to always seeing this at different campuses and everything. Select up here, go, and go back. Let me store a different cue, so that way when we do put these buttons in, we have a way to see that they work. Okie doke. Let's go to screen 2. I'm going to go to up flat, and I'm going to change it to cyan. And let's go ahead and store Q2. Now we have 2 keys. So I'll just name this flat, open, and then up, flat, cyan. And I'll put a fade time of 2 on both. And they're go keys. So now if we go in So it is a color wheel, so you see that the colors are changing and everything. So I haven't mapped out these buttons yet, but I can control them from the actual Grand MA just with my trackpad. So now let's map these buttons. Let's go ahead and go back to cockpit. And I'm actually going to click on the buttons that I want to control. So directly above the fader on the Mini, on the MIDI Mini, APC Mini, there is a round button, and then directly above that you have like 48 little rectangular buttons. And so I kind of want these buttons to live near each other the way it looks on the actual Grand MA on PC software. So I'm going to use this round button directly above this fader. I'm going to use that as this button right here. If I go back, I'm going to use this as that button. And then above that we have two rectangular buttons that I'm going to use for go and then select. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm hitting this round button right now on the actual MIDI, and you see that it highlights what button it is. It's the up button on the MIDI, or yeah, on the MIDI. And so let's go to executor button and let's do it on here. So right now we're on executor number 1, button number 1, and let's go ahead and put it in. So I simply just clicked it, and now we should, and you just saw it in the background, yeah, it's hitting go back. And now let's do our next button, which we're going to do go right here. And let me change this to flash right here. That way you can actually see it better. So I'm going to pull this down. Here, I'll pull it down with the fader actually. And now you see I'm just hitting flash. It's, again, this is the round button, and it turns red on the MIDI when I hit flash, or if I hold it down, and then it turns off when I turn it off, or when I release it. So I'm pushing the fader back up, and now let's go in and do this go button. So this is going to be executor 1, button 2, alright? And it already puts it in there. Well, no, we need to go back. Let's make sure. This is one thing that kind of bothers me, like when you record a button in here, it immediately jumps to the next executor. I wish it just jumped to the next button instead. So we have to go to executor number 1 and then button 2. And now I'm hitting the rectangle, the very first rectangle above this round button. It's going to be 8-1. And then let's go ahead and do the other one right above that one. And you see again it changed to executor 2. Let's go back to executor number 1 and then button number 3, which is going to be this one. Cool. Let's go back to this. Yep. Bada bing. You see that it is going to the next cue. Okay. The button directly above it, it's select. Here, I can change it to something else just so you can see that it actually works. Let's do off. Let's do this. Let's do off and on for these buttons. You can change these all day. Off and then on. And I'll do off again, do my flash button, and then my fader as well. So we are good. So like on fader 1, we already have our flash button, our fader, our on and our off buttons programmed into RD Roadshow Cockpit. And we have communication. We're good to go to set up a new fader and more buttons. So in the next video, I'm going to explain more buttons and everything, and even macros on how to put macros into a MIDI.